Okay, so good morning again, and we're on week 2, of our piercing the veil. So in a moment or two, we'll do the short moving practice, which, as I suggested last week, I'm going to do it standing, but you don't have to do it standing. If you are doing it on the chair, you probably better just slightly come into the front of your chair. So we'll move on to that in a moment. So what I'm trying to do, what I managed to do last time, was kind of give you something during the week to reflect upon. So we're on the second week and it's about reveal. So although in this session, the reveal is going to be around revealing kind of goodness, the kind of focus I gave you in the week was more a reflection on, what are your beliefs? What are your stories you tell yourselves? What are the judgments that you have around? And around those, I was thinking of things that are either, a little bit unsteady, either not really based on fact, like, you're not good enough, sort of thing, or other stories that we tell about who we are and how the world works. And just to have it sounds really big, but you don't have to spend a lot of time before something usually comes through and you think, you know what, I'm not even sure that's really how life is, but I've kind of just been given that or attached myself to certain ways that I see the world. So it's just useful to sometimes just think, what kind of world do I think I live in, and what sort of things do I carry around with me? But today we're kind of, as I say, we're going to focus on goodness. And the reason that I tend to use more of the positive elements to focus on in the meditation, one, it makes you usually feel a bit better at the start of the day, but also it builds up resilience a little bit more. If we know that the mind is going to be focused on the negative without any problem at all, and that's where it can go. Therefore, we need to build up our kind of positive pictures, if you like, of the world and really feel those sensations. And then when we have these difficulties and we see the suffering in the world, we're a little bit more resourced to kind of, okay, I know that the goodness is here, but actually I can work with things that are not positive, and I can work my way through that in a much more responsive way than a kind of way. Okay, I'll stop talking at the sound where I'm probably talking extra nonsense. So we'll stand, if we're going to stand, or you'll sit as comfortably as you can. I'm going to move the chair away. Try not to knock my water over. That there for a moment. Okay. So standing or sitting comfortably. So that means a sense of the spine feeling quite long if you can, without, forcing yourself into a rigid position. If you're standing, just soften the knees slightly for a moment. So the hands, I've got the palms facing towards the sky, I've got my elbows relaxed, shoulders relaxed, and I'm reasonably, I've got my arms feeling fairly heavy, but my hands feeling alert. Okay, so from here, it's the same as we did last week, but we're going with 2 hands. I think we did do the 2-hand version. So we sweep the arms forward and we turn them so the palms are away from us. And we're slightly pulling back to where we started. We take the hands forward, we do this spiraling to pierce the veil, and we kind of reach forward a little bit if we can. So it is a reach, and then it is feel like a pull, even if it's kind of an imaginary sense of that. So just repeating that a few times. You might breathe with it. So generally say out breath to go out, and in breath to kind of pull back that sense of energy and light. So an in breath as we pierce through the veil, and out breath as we pull that back. So we're just going to pause that for a moment, relax the shoulders, move the shoulders in any way you wish to. So the second movement, which is new, from last week, is this is why you need to sit on your seat if you're seated, is we turning in one direction, sweeping the arm in front of us, and again, turning the palm so it faces towards the screen, towards me, and then we pull back. We swap arms this time. So we take the other arm, spiral the arm, reach the arm, and pull back. First side, cross the body, reaching, spiraling, pulling back the light, opening the light to the world. And second time, second side, spiraling, piercing the veil, pulling the light, allowing the light back into your orbit. One more time each side. First side, across the body, piercing as we spiral, bringing light with us. And third time, the second side. Across the body, moving back through center. And then just have a little jig or loosen up before we start. Okay. So doing what you need to do to settle, which might be nothing, or it might be getting a tissue, having a drink, having a different movement. Okay. So sitting comfortably. So it's the same kind of thing as I said when we're standing, really. You're going to get a sense of the spine feeling long if you can. If that's just too much to hold, feeling like you're holding yourself up, then you relax a little bit more against the support of the chair. So finding somewhere comfortable for the hands so the shoulders can rest comfortably, and either closing the eyes or lowering the gaze, and finding your own, you're also familiar with this now, so finding your sort of space that feels like you're kind of open and awake and aware to my voice and the suggestions in terms of the journey we might go on, but also relaxed in the body. Okay, so setting an intention, if that means anything to you, is a kind of process in your own mind, in your own body. So the intention today is to reveal, and the intention today is, in this shortish meditation, is to reveal goodness. So that's going to be what we're interested in. And just before we kind of go into the more formal process, maybe you can see the good of the day. Maybe you have a chance to have a look at the light outside as it's coming. It's a still day at the moment, so there's not a lot of light, but any light in the world gives us a picture. So you may be able to see and relate to the day already, relate to an October day. How's that happened? We got to October. So relating to what's outdoors as you settle. Okay, so maybe keeping the outdoors in mind for a moment as we settle the feet towards the earth and have that sense of grounding. Let the bottom settle on the floor, on the chair, so we can give weight to the body for a moment. And as we give weight to the body, we can also feel support from the ground. Whether that's being held on the chair, on the floor, having a sense of the weight of the feet and the connection, the warmth of the feet maybe against the floor. So really being aware of both those elements, that weightedness and that being held and supported. It's what the ground can do for us. We can give to it and it can come up and support us. So as we keep with that sense of the weight, the groundedness, we take our attention from the feet and up the bones of the body, up the bones of the legs, and through the legs and up to the pelvis, that really heavier part of the center of the body. And from the pelvis through and up the spine, following it all the way through to the skull. And then coming back down a little bit and through, down through the arms and the hands. And really feeling the bones of the body. So we can feel earthed, connected, grounded. And then back to the spine and feeling the connection of the rib cage all around the body. So all around the torso, through and connected to the shoulder blades. So again, we've got our bony structure there, around the center of the body. So what you might notice, so be interested if you can, noticing the breath there. So noticing the breath in the torso, around the rib cage. So you might feel the chest rise and fall slightly. You might feel the outside sides of the body floating out on the in-breath and settling in a little bit on the out-breath. But given we're sitting and we've not done a lot of movement, it might be imperceptible or really, really small. So it's up to you whether you kind of encourage a little bit more of the sense of the breath in that area by giving a little bit more effort to the breath, but only a small amount. Or whether you take your attention to the belly and keep the breath soft. So we can have a sense of the bones in the body and the breath and the movement at the same time, potentially. Yeah, so we are bone and we are breath. And the breath is in the torso, the whole of the torso, the front, the back, and the sides. And we can feel that energy within the body, that movement within the stillness. So going inside that space, the rib cage, into the heart space. And imagine that in any way that feels helpful to you. It can just be a light, it can just be a space, it can be a warmth. And maybe imagining the light that came from piercing the veil in front of us and to the sides, just coming into that heart space. So deepening that intention to reveal. We've pierced the veil, we've found the light. We can reveal reality and the truth in life. We can explore and be open to that possibility. So any tension in the body, let that soften. Let it soften in the face, around the eyes, around the jaw, around the lips and the tongue. Soften the breath. And release any tension in the hands, in the feet, around the bottom and the thighs. Still holding that sense of wakefulness while you soften and relax. Open up the heart space to the light from beyond the veil. From the energy outside the body. From that outdoor October day and beyond. And within that heart space, that warmth, that light, hold a sense of goodness, however that might present itself in images, in faces, in memories, in feelings, in connections. Revealing whatever goodness offers. No need for a moment to screen anything out. Just allow it to pour in. Spiraling in like nature, full of spirals. So if we focus down more specifically around the goodness in others, yeah, so that might be already what you're thinking or what you're feeling or what you're connecting to. So my suggestion is that your focus is around goodness in others of people you know. Yeah, so it's significant others and people in your network. It's people you've talked to, people you come across, people you know in the round, and you still see their goodness. Yeah, so it can be easy to project goodness on others from people we don't really know very well. We don't know their lives particularly. But if we know them and we've seen them in the round and we still see the goodness, then there's a real strong light coming from that experience, coming between us, coming to us, bringing us an energy and a life force through that goodness. And the goodness might just be in the way they present themselves, the way they talk, the way they communicate, the way they are with others, the things they do in the world. Sometimes connected, all of those, sometimes not as clearly connected as we might think. Goodness comes in different shapes and sizes and expressed in so many different ways to different people. Small and large. Really noticeable or very, very subtle. So looking for that kind of diversity doesn't need to be a huge thing. Huge things in some ways are easier to spot. Quieter forms of goodness may be more difficult and may be more common. So just bringing those to mind and allowing them to be in the heart space, in that light, to be nurtured by the breath, to be energized through the body. So if you can continue holding on and keeping that in mind, or you can move on to a second stage. And that second stage is looking broader, what's happening in the world. And I know that could get a bit scary. So really being focused on seeing the good things, the good aspects of things that are happening in the world, or the people that are trying to do good within the world, within a context of conflict and difficulty. Yeah? So knowing that goodness comes through challenge and hardship quite commonly, but we don't have to go there. We can just see, a wider sense of goodness within the world. And it can be through nature if that's an easier kind of lens in which to see goodness outside of people, if you like, outside of the complications. But if you can hold it within actions in the world, people in the world, then see those people that are just slightly beyond your immediate world. So we might not know them on a day-to-day basis, but we know some things they do, how they talk, how they relate. We might see some of that, read about it, hear about it, but they're not quite so close to our world, our daily activities. So just being present to that wider energy. It might feel further away, further out, but bringing that energy in, that wider goodness, goodness in adversity, kindness, thoughtfulness, openness. Often it can be about openness. Breathing it in, feeling the warmth. Through the light that we created by piercing the veil. So we're holding the goodness in the wider space and world. We're feeling the goodness closer to our hearts and those around us that we see goodness in. So our final option, I think you know what's coming, is to see if you can allow a recognition and revealing the goodness in yourself. So sometimes that's kind of a little bit more difficult, or feels more difficult to do, or feels unnecessary to do. But knowing who we are is important, and it's not full of all the negative stories and the judgments. It's at the heart of who we are. So feeling that sense of the goodness within ourselves, that kindness. You can use a different word if it feels too grand. A kind word, a kind thought, the giving back. But receive and reveal goodness in your own heart. It's as real and as strong as all the other connections we made with others around us and the wider world. We are part of the goodness, which may be more easily seen by others than by ourselves. And will be clouded, be clouded. So we do need to reveal and pierce the veil. As our intention remains on connecting with the goodness in self, in others, and the wider world. So feeling that goodness in all of those levels, in all of those energies, our own energy, the energies of others, and the wider energy in the world. The force for good. And feel that power beyond and through the veil, that light. Feel it through the whole body. Allowing that to soak into the bones and be part of you. So again, coming back to the ground, the feet on the ground and the hands on the body, the bum on the chair, and being aware of the space around you as well as the space within you. The sounds in your room and beyond your room. Sounds maybe of the day. Breathe it in. Breathing in the day. And having a sense of that goodness around. See if you can hold that within you and bring that to mind as you journey through the day. So just moving the toes a little and moving the fingers a little and moving the shoulders a little bit and opening the eyes if the eyes are ready. See the world. See a tree moving a little bit now, so there's a little bit of a breeze starting out there, that energy of the outside world. So thank you very much for coming. I've gone on a little bit longer as usual, so it's 1:45. I will send you some, I'm not calling it homework, but some suggestions if you want to kind of carry on the story. What we tend to do is we dip into the story once a week, don't we? And then we kind of live our lives. So if you can dip in and out of it during the week, it just strengthens what we do. So that's just an offer, an opportunity, but we have busy lives and things. So do what you need to do. I'll be here again next week for week 3, which is more about healing next week. Okay, lovely to see you all. Yeah, have a stretch, have a yawn, and I'll be back next week. Thank you very much. And I can feel your goodness from here. All right, take care, everyone. Lots of love. Bye-bye.